I'm a victim of bank account fraud and recently lost all my money from my current savings and ISA accounts to fraudsters pretending to represent Lloyds Bank plc fraud department. Believe me, I now feel stupid, ashamed, sick, completely vulnerable and latterly really angry. Firstly with myself, then with the bastards that have conned me, and finally with Lloyds Bank plc. I am a 70 years of age male who is not doddery, confused or easily conned. Well, at least I thought so. I was aware that scams were being perpetrated, but I assumed that I would recognise one if it ever came my way. How wrong was I? It all started with a quite innocent looking text from, in my case, the Royal Mail, stating that a package that I had ordered had insufficient postage paid and that they needed an extra £2.63 so that the delivery could be completed. Otherwise it would be returned to sender. Like most people during this pandemic, I have been making most of my purchases online, so was not unduly concerned by the text. I filled in the payment section of the text giving my bank details and thought nothing more of it. A few days went by and I had forgotten about the supposed Royal Mail text. I then noticed that on my online banking account a number of small purchases had occurred that I did not recognise. And then around that time I received a telephone call from Lloyds Bank Fraud Department asking if I was attempting purchases in Manchester, bearing in mind that I live in Cambridgeshire. I was being hacked and fraud attempts were being made. Lloyds Bank were all over this and made sure that the Manchester situation was dealt with and the unauthorised payments from my current account were reimbursed. My old debit card was cancelled and a new one issued. The new card arrived within 2 days and I thought that it had been dealt with. How wrong was I? Several days passed, my new card had arrived and I was thinking all's well, when I received another call from Lloyds Bank Fraud Department who were telling me that other fraudulent activities had been detected again in Manchester and now Inverness, Scotland. At this point I specifically asked the caller about his identity and he reassured me that he was a genuine member of the bank's fraud department. If I checked the contact number on the back of my bank card, it was identical to the number shown on my mobile phone screen. He then highlighted that I appeared to have purchased an iPhone and was attempting to set up an EE account back in Manchester again, as well as trying to make hotel bookings that had been refused and a number of other attempted transactions, all in the northwest of England. But the bank had picked up on these and they had been successfully dealt with. He reassured me that the bank's fraud department had intercepted all this fraudulent activity and it was under control, for which I was very grateful. Several hours passed and again I felt reassured that all was under control and the fraud department had my back. Then another call from Lloyds Bank Fraud Department. Sounded like the same guy who advised that I now owned 2 iPhones and the fraudsters had now had complete control of my bank accounts and were attempting to change the account names and my home address. I was told not to transfer monies to a friend or family member's bank account as this would provide the fraudsters with a link to another bank account that they would plunder as they could follow this trail. I was informed that Lloyds Bank have a secured and safe in-house account purely for this circumstance that I could transfer my monies into, and by doing this I would stop any further attempts on my account, and then Lloyds would open a new current account, savings account and ISA account, and they would then transfer my direct debits, etc., and all would be well. This I did and lost all my monies to these scumbag fraudsters. Don't make my mistake. Never transfer monies. Please be aware of the tactics used. It's all undertaken over several days by a calm, professional sounding individual who is grooming you into trusting this person supposedly acting on your behalf. So when the sting is finally played, you are believing everything that you're told. The bank, Lloyds Bank PLC, have said after a so-called investigation that there is nothing they can do to reimburse my losses. Now, I saw on a recent Crime Watch type TV programme a young lady who experienced the exact same scam as mine. Her losses were reimbursed by her bank. This was the HSBC Bank. They appear to have a more realistic policy that protects its customers. The police say there is nothing they can do as these crimes are committed abroad and they have not got the technology, manpower or jurisdiction to pursue these criminals. So we that have been robbed of our life savings have no support from the bank or the law. You are left alone, penniless and having to pick up the pieces. It does not end there. The scum that has done this to you then sells your information to other scumbags that start contacting you with other scams. Be very aware of this. Please make sure that this does not happen to you, a relative or someone you know and love.